December 11th, 1946, 10:40 p.m., Delhi. Cold fog slowly spread outside the Constituent Assembly building. The British Empire had not completely left India yet, but its foundations were already collapsing. Yellow lights burned deep inside the massive corridors, where hurried footsteps echoed through the silence. India was preparing to write its future. And that night, a calm figure dressed in white khadi slowly walked toward the assembly hall. He was not a man who ruled crowds with loud speeches. There was no fear around him. Yet behind his silence lived a patience that had troubled the British Empire for years. That man was Dr. Rajendra Prasad. Born in the small village of Zarade in Bihar, Rajendra Prasad's journey toward the center of India's freedom struggle seemed almost impossible. From childhood, his intelligence shocked everyone around him. It was once said that an examiner wrote in his answer sheet that the student appeared more qualified than the examiner himself. But behind that brilliance existed something far deeper than education. A silent unrest had already taken shape inside him. British rule was tightening its grip across India, and every passing year pushed the country deeper into humiliation. Born in Calcutta, his future looked secure. A successful legal career promised wealth, power, and prestige. Courtrooms respected him. Society admired him. But outside those polished buildings, another reality existed. Farmers were being beaten. Villages were drowning under colonial exploitation. British officers ruled through fear, and the law itself had become a weapon against Indians. Rajendra Prasad slowly realized that personal success meant nothing, while an entire nation remained chained. 1917. Champaran. Endless rain covered the muddy roads of Bihar, while thousands of farmers lived in terror under forced indigo cultivation. British plantation owners controlled every part of their lives. Hunger and violence had become normal. That was when Mahatma Gandhi arrived in Champaran. And for the first time, Rajendra Prasad stepped directly into a movement that would change India forever. He did not simply attend meetings. He walked through villages, recorded testimonies, listened to broken families, and witnessed the brutality with his own eyes. The suffering of ordinary people destroyed the distance between him and the struggle. Slowly, the respected lawyer began abandoning the comfortable life that once defined him. British authorities soon noticed him. He was not a revolutionary carrying weapons, yet he possessed something far more dangerous: the ability to create trust among millions. He did not. When the non-cooperation movement began, Rajendra Prasad made a decision that shocked many around him. He walked away from his flourishing legal career. It was not merely resignation. It was the destruction of a future that countless people dreamed of achieving. Across India, arrests multiplied. Jails overflowed with political prisoners. But every imprisonment only strengthened the movement further. In Bihar, Rajendra Prasad's influence had grown so powerful that British intelligence began closely monitoring his activities. 1934. Bihar earthquake. 1934. Bihar earthquake. The earth cracked apart. Entire villages collapsed into dust within seconds. Screams echoed through destroyed streets, while thousands searched for missing family members beneath the rubble. At a time when many leaders limited themselves to speeches, Rajendra Prasad entered the disaster zones personally. He organized relief camps, carried supplies, and worked among survivors day and night. For many Indians, this was the moment when he stopped being just a political leader. He became a symbol of service itself. Then came 1942. The Quit India movement exploded across the country like wildfire. Railway stations burned. British symbols were torn down. The colonial government responded with brutal force. Mass arrests began immediately, and Rajendra Prasad was imprisoned once again. Inside dark prison cells, months passed under harsh surveillance. Outside, India moved closer toward rebellion. British officials understood something terrifying. This freedom struggle could no longer be crushed through fear alone. Men like Rajendra Prasad had already turned sacrifice into a weapon. August 15th, 1947. Midnight. Delhi. India finally became independent. But freedom arrived soaked in blood. Partition had unleashed violence across the subcontinent. Millions were displaced. Entire cities burned under religious hatred. Amid that chaos, the responsibility of building a new nation fell upon the Constituent Assembly. Rajendra Prasad became its president. Long debates continued for endless hours as leaders like Jawaharlal Nehru, B.R. Ambedkar, and Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel argued over the future of India. Yet throughout those tense moments, Rajendra Prasad remained the calm center, holding the structure together. January 26, 1950. 10:18 a.m. India officially became a republic. Military guards stood outside Rashtrapati Bhavan, while crowds gathered across Delhi. That morning, Rajendra Prasad took oath as the first president of independent India. But even the highest office in the country failed to change his lifestyle. Inside the grand halls of the presidential palace, he continued living with remarkable simplicity. He personally tracked his expenses and avoided luxury whenever possible. Ordinary citizens no longer saw him merely as a president. They saw him as the moral face of the republic itself. As years passed, Indian politics slowly changed. Power struggles began emerging within the government. Differences between Jawaharlal Nehru and Rajendra Prasad became increasingly visible on several national issues, including the Hindu Code Bill and the role of the presidency. Yet Rajendra Prasad never allowed those disagreements to damage the fragile stability of the young nation. He understood that India was still vulnerable. Public conflict at the highest level could weaken the republic itself. 1962. Patna. Sadakat Ashram. Patna. Sadakat Ashram. Age had finally begun affecting his health. His body weakened with time, but his concern for India remained unchanged. After leaving the presidency, he returned to the same simplicity from which his journey had begun decades earlier. Then came February 28, 1963. The news of his death spread across the nation like silence itself. India had not merely lost its first president. It had lost one of the final symbols of a generation that viewed power not as privilege, but as responsibility. Even today, when light falls upon the walls of Rashtrapati Bhavan, history still remembers a quiet figure dressed in white khadi,